بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى أصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. Today we're gonna touch on a few interesting masaa'il. We're gonna touch on intention of fasting, and we're gonna touch on masaa'il connected to basically probably the most important chapter of fasting, and that is those things that break the fast. We're gonna touch on those things and also some contemporary things that break the fast. But before we get started with that, we want to just touch on one or two things from the previous dars. One or two things I forgot to mention. We spoke about a sick person not being able to fast, and when he should fast, and when it's makruh for him to fast, and when it's better for him not to fast, but not to the level of makruh, which the fuqaha call khilaf al-awla. Khilaf al-awla is a category between mubah, which is permissible, and makruh. So, and we said of a lady, a young girl who gets haidh and she finds fasting difficult, she can also not fast. And we spoke of somebody who finds fasting extremely difficult. That person takes a ruling of a sick person. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentions this. So we're going to touch on another two contemporary things, and that is for a person who works in the day. But his work is very difficult. His job is quite difficult, and therefore he finds severe difficulty fasting. So what will the ruling be for this person? And does he have to fast, or can he not fast? So here the fuqaha in the past, they did touch on this mas'ala. Some of them touched on this mas'ala, but let's go with, I think, the fatwa of contemporary scholars, because they know our situation that we live in a bit better. So first of all, they point out that to realize the importance of fasting Ramadan, it's a pillar of Islam. So for us to now come and make an excuse for the person, or to include the person as being a sick person, is something difficult. It's not easy. So we need to have proper stipulations intact. So they say there's a few things going, and they say we use the principle الميسور لا يسقط بالمعسور. If a person is able to do something, then because of something more difficult, this thing he's able to does not fall. This thing he's able to does not fall. So I can connect it to a mas'ala we did, or examples we gave last week. And we spoke about a person who, for example, tayammum and wudu, he could not wash his arm, for example. So you say that is ma'asur, that is a difficult thing. But do we tell him, okay, go to tayammum immediately? We say to him, don't go to tayammum immediately, because the maisur, which is washing the rest of the body parts, the face, the feet, and masah of the head, covering the mouth, all those things, that he's able to do. So the ma'asur, washing the arm, which is difficulty, does not cause the things he's able to do to fall. So that's a very important principle in fiqh. It's a very important principle. Al-maysur la yasqut bil-ma'sur. The thing that's easy does not fall because of the difficult thing. So as long as you're able to do something, you do it. That's the point. And that when you go above that to the level of the things you can't do, then you don't do it. Then you don't have to do it. So you have to, for example, financially support so and so people from your family. It's a mas'ala that fuqaha speak out in the chapters of nikah, actually, the chapter of nafaqah. They speak on who a person has to provide for. So if you then have your children, you have your parents, maybe you have to provide for maybe your brother, maybe your uncle, for example. Who comes first? You have not too much money to be able to do on all of them, but you're able to for your child, you're able to for your parents. So that is maysur, that is the easy thing. So the ma'sur, which is your brother and your uncles, the fact that you can't provide for them does not mean you cannot provide for your children and parents. So that's the qaida we're going to use here. So they say, what do? You go in levels. That means if you're able to be able to get your job, that you do it at night, you do it. If you're able to take days off in Ramadan, you do it. You don't just say not allowed to fast. You don't just say you cannot fast. You say you have to check first. First check. If you're not able to do that, ulama, then they mention it. It's not easy practically, but they mention it, and that is, see if you can get another job that allows you to fast in the day in Ramadan. And if that is not possible, then they say in the last case, then you're allowed to not fast, and this person takes the ruling of somebody who is sick. In saying that, the scholars say, some of the Shafi'iyya specify on this. In fact, most would, that a person begins the day fast. Some of the Shafi'i scholars say why he does this, because maybe on this day he's able to fast for the whole day. Maybe if he's got, let's say, heavy lifting job, or like a builder or something, on this day the heat of the sun or the building that he has to do, his energy is enough. He doesn't need to, he won't get sick. He knows from himself, and that today he can fast. So today he completes the fast. So we don't tell him start the day not fasting. We tell him start the day fasting. And then when you need to break the fast, you can then break the fast. And then also we said of the mas'ala, when a person can break the fast, then he also, in the hanbali and hanafi math-hab, they call it imsak li hurmati shahr. They say if a person is supposed to be fasting, his reason for not fasting is gone. The haidh, the lady in haidh is now clean, or the traveler is now back home. Their excuse is over in this case. In this case, they should also not eat or drink or do anything that opposes the fast out of respect for the time of the month of Ramadan. So in this case, we say to this person, okay, you can drink and you can eat, but maybe you need a glass of water. Maybe you need a snack. Maybe you need a meal. Do not go and eat out. Do not go and just enjoy. It doesn't mean you go full out. You eat what you need, then you stop eating out of respect for the time. Then if you need again to drink, you need again to eat, then you do it like that. So basically, in summary, they say a person sees for alternatives in his job and maybe outside of his job. If it's not able, then he can then break his fast. Break his fast. We didn't say he can not fast. He can break his fast when he needs to. Lastly, a person who has exams. Sometimes people have exams and they're studying at university or school, especially high school, etc. Then they say it becomes difficult for them to fast. They say it becomes difficult for them to fast and study or write the exams. The same thing applies in the sense that we'd say to this person, obviously you're going to start the day fasting, right? We're going to say that at the end. But if you need, we look at the importance of the exam. If it's not so important, the exam in your life, then you can't drop a pillar of Islam for something that's not so important. If you're able to postpone the exam, you postpone the exam. You look for alternatives, like we said just now. If you're able to, let's say, write the exam early in the morning, then you do it. If it's studying, that's the issue because of you feel like you need to eat, so your brain works better, whatever it may be. In that case, try and study at another time. If it must be that you have to study for this important exam, then you do it. But you must look for alternatives first. Same for a person going to school. Sometimes it feels difficult. He feels difficulty. So you look at, for example, the countries in sometimes Muslim countries are easier in Ramadan, less hours. Do we say to this person he can just not fast, or this child? The answer is no. You check the situation, you check the child, you check also the hours of the day or to school. You check also sometimes the season. It's summer, it's more difficult to fast than winter. So in winter, if the child or the person is able to fast, then in that case we'd say don't break fast. In conclusion, yes, there's scope to not fast. Let's rephrase it. There's scope to break the fast. But if there's no alternatives and you analyzed everything, then you can do so. I think I forgot to mention, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, and that is when we spoke about the stipulation to hit a child. I think I said 5 stipulations, there's 6, I think. So I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. Maybe I'm confusing the stipulations I mentioned or I didn't. But the last one was the age to hit a child. The age to hit a child, the fuqaha say, I'm going to use the phrases we mentioned last time because it should be a bit clear. So they said, they say for salah is 10, and then for somebody else for discipline they say sin al-tamyiz, they say the mumayyiz. So under that you shouldn't be hit, because they say hitting will not actually work for the child. They say qabil lit-ta'dib, qabil lit-ta'dib in Arabic. He is able to get a result out of disciplining him, and he must be the child to realize what's happening. So that's what they say there. Okay, then let's then go and speak on the intention of fasting. But before that, we speak of all these people that we mentioned last time and now that can break their fast, or they're allowed to eat. So they are sick or they are traveling. And here the fuqaha say, how should they eat? In the sense that, can they just go out in public and eat? Since they are Muslims and they should be fasting. Fuqaha say, and this is going to be a few of the fuqaha of the Hanabila, they mention this, and others come and explain what they mean. So in conclusion, they say if the person has an excuse that's clear to everyone, then in this case he can eat in public. So that people can tell that this person is a traveler. They can tell this person is sick. For example, he's in the hospital, you visit him in the hospital, or you came to his house to visit him, and you can see he's sick. So in that case, this person can eat in public. But for when people will not realize that this person has an excuse, he seems healthy, he seems a resident, in that case, the person should eat in private, just so people do not think bad of the Muslim brother or sister. So that's how they should do it. A lady in haidh, all of these things, this applies to them, the sick person, the traveler, all of that it applies to these people. Okay, then we can start with today's masaa'il, and that is the intention. ويجب, so the Musannif says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, ويجب تعيين النية بأن يعتقد أنه يصوم هذا اليوم رمضان أو يصوم رمضان أو قضائه أو نذر أو كفارة. Okay, in summary, they say for a fast you need 2 stipulations when it comes to intention. They say you need to intend to fast, and we say you need to intend to fast and the intention starts at night. So at night, in Sharia, the night, day and night would differ according to chapters in fiqh. So sometimes day and night, the day would start at the time when Fajr sets in until sunset. And at other times they say the day starts when Fajr, when sunrise comes until sunset. So it differs according to the chapters in fiqh. So for example, when they say you can read qira'ah in salah loudly, they say for the night salah. And you read salah loudly for the day salah. Okay, it's obvious when it's you're performing the salah on its time. But let's say qadha of the salah. When do you do qadha? Because the qadha, they say al-qadha yatba' al-ada. So the way you're going to perform the salah on its time, you do qadha in the same manner. So they say if you have to do qadha al-maghrib, you will recite loudly in maghrib when you do qadha of it. You know, right? But if the qadha is done in the day, then in this case, you do it silently. But when is day? So for this recitation in salah, as an example, the day would start when at sunrise. So if you're doing qadha al-maghrib after salatul fajr, then you can do it loudly. So this is an example where the night and day durations would differ in fiqh. So here, it would be from sunset until Fajr comes in. So this is min al-layl. So your intention, you intend to fast, and your fasting intention is at night. So you intend to fast. That's number one. So you have to intend to fast. Can you wake up and then just decide to fast? We'll speak of this in when we speak of the non-obligatory, the nafl fasts. And in this mas'ala, inshallah, we're going to mention the different opinions of the fuqaha. Okay, so in the hanbali math-hab, you have to intend to fast, number one, and your fast should be at night, and you intend the type of fast you're going to do. And this is specifically when it's a wajib fast. So when it's a fard fast, or it's qadha, or it's kaffarah, or it's nalf. Nalf is an oath. Kaffarah is fast, for example, if you broke an oath, for example, or you killed somebody, for example, or you did dhihar. To explain dhihar, because we're going to go out, you've got a bit of explanation, comes at the beginning of a surah. Mujadala is dhihar. الَّذِينَ يُظَاهِرُونَ مِنْكُمْ is dhihar. So these things are kaffarah. So you have to intend tomorrow I'm going to fast, and you have to intend in your head, you have to intend that it's going to be for kaffarah, or for your oath, or you're going to be fasting for a day in Ramadan, or qadha of a day in Ramadan. We didn't touch on nafl because the nafl will be different. So now they say a few things. Okay, number one, you do not have to intend that it's a fard fast or it's qadha. Merely intending Ramadan, a fast of Ramadan, either in Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, it would count. Okay, so you do not need to intend, okay, this is a qadha or this is the fard that's happening on its time. And this is important because last time I left the mas'ala out, and there is a prisoner, or somebody who's underground, not able to know when is the month of Ramadan. We're going to mention a couple situations with this guy and how does he fast, and not needing to mention it's qadha or it's the specific fasting that's happening on its time. And that's very important. The same thing with salah, the fuqaha say, the hanbali fuqaha say, you do not need to intend if the dhuhr you're praying is qadha or if it's on time. You just need to intend to perform dhuhr, fard salah. The fard salah, that it's fard and dhuhr. It's not a sunnah, for example. Okay, so how does intention happen? What should you do? Should you articulate the intention? How should you do it? So the fuqaha say, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Shaykh al-Islam, Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah, alayhim rahmatullah, they say, an-niyyah tabi'un lil-'ilm. So this is in summary how a niyyah works for any action. Just merely knowing you're going to do something, that counts as intention. So do you need to articulate? The hanbali fuqaha have a few details on this, but to leave that aside, just merely intending in your head that tomorrow I'm going to fast. It's done. Just knowing, okay, let me set my alarm for suhoor, done. It's intention. That's it. You just need to have that intention. I even say eating suhoor itself is intention. So Ibn Taymiyyah alayhi rahmatullah says that from this you know that the difference in the type of meal, just that alone is an intention. So he specifies, he says the type of meal you'd have in Ramadan to, let's say, the night of Eid will be different. Because Ramadan you're going to eat so you can have strength to fast. You're going to eat something maybe keeps you full for longer. Because you can't eat breakfast or you can't eat a snack later in the day. But on your Eid and after that, you do not eat that much in the middle of the night. Because you can have breakfast, you can eat it anytime you feel hungry. So they say that's one of the things. They say the intention is just by just having just coming through your head, just thinking, I'm going to fast, that's enough. You know in your head what you're going to fast. The same thing, you're going to stand up to use the bathroom. Why? You're preparing for wudu, for which salah? It's now Asr time, for obviously Asr salah. So you do not, that's enough is the intention. So anyone who has waswasah, this should cover it. Just knowing what you're going to do, that's it, it's done. Okay. So one more thing the fuqaha say, a person who comes and realizes that it is only he found out during the days Ramadan, and he hasn't done anything that will break his fast before the time he found out, Can this person just carry on? Can he just intend at that moment that he's fasting and his fast counts? So here, the madhab, when I say the madhab, I refer to the relied upon opinion of the hanbali madhab. If I say the madhab, and if I say the second opinion, it's one of the opinions of the hanbali madhab, one of the stronger ones, and many times the second opinion, many of the fuqaha say it's referring to Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion, which is known as a riwayah thaniya, the second opinion in the hanbali madhab. So they say for this, the madhab is that it does not count. You have to not eat or do anything out of respect for the time of Ramadan, but it does not count. You have to do qadha. The second opinion, Ibn Taymiyyah alayhi rahmatullah, he says that the moment you know it's Ramadan, the moment it's come to your attention, if you've not done anything that breaks the fast before that, you can make your intention there and fast. And he says that's what happened when Ashura became wajib. The Muslims, many of them knew in the day Rasulullah told them to complete their fast. And he also says that the person did not know. So he could not be commanded to do something he did not know. He could not be commanded to have the intention from the night before, and he didn't even know Ramadan is tomorrow. He didn't know the sight. So this isn't the case where somebody, for example, he did not hear of the moon being sighted for some other reason. And then the next morning when he woke up at Fajr, for example, he was told it's Ramadan, because the fast has to start when Fajr, just before it comes in, or when it comes in, the fast starts. So he realized when the time already came in, but he didn't eat or drink or anything before that. Can he make the intention now? These two opinions apply to that. The madhab says you have to have intention from the night. So it starts at Maghrib, and just before Fajr comes in, that's the last time for you to have an intention. After that does not count. The second opinion is the moment you realize that it is Ramadan. So it will not apply to somebody who knew it's Ramadan but forgot to make the intention on one of the days. That person, the madhab says it does not count. The second opinion, Ibn Taymiyyah says, the moment he realizes Ramadan is in, then he can fast from that moment. That's the two opinions. Okay, then they speak of a lady in haidh. Now last time we spoke on masaa'il connected to a lady in haidh and how her intention, her fasting works. But one more thing they mention here when it comes to intention, they say if the lady knows she's going to probably, either her cycle is a complete cycle, that means to the minute it will end, 15 days or 10 days maximum haidh, so she'll know the minute it's going to end, because we said last time haidh is to the minute. Or she most likely will be clean before Fajr. She knows that, and she obviously has to make sure, but she could make the intention at night. She doesn't have to make, the point in this is that she doesn't need to make the intention the moment she is clean. But sometimes it could become difficult. So they say her intention from beforehand, because the intention in normal circumstances would not apply. Why? Because she's not mukallafa. She cannot fast. Once she's clean, now she has to fast. And all the application of the rule of intention applies to her here. But they say because it's difficult sometimes to get it precise, especially for her, because she could be clean in this moment or that moment, she could make the intention from early, and then when she's clean, khalas, then the fast will count. The next mas'ala they speak about is the nafl fast. Okay, the nafl fast. The hanbali madhab says, okay, so let's divide fasting into two types of fasting. They say al-nafl al-mutlaq, al-nafl al-muqayyad. Nafl al-mutlaq is just any general nafl fast. So that means the objective of this fasting is just to have fasting occurring on this day. It's not specific virtue of the fast, but it's having the day fulfilled with fasting. So it's very important we understand these two things. Why? Because when we come to the masaa'il of nafl fasts in the madhab, we'll touch on the mas'ala of a dual intention. Can somebody intend to have qadha of Ramadan with the intention of one of the fast days of the 6th of Shawwal? So there we will discuss it from the angle, is the objective is to have 6 days of Shawwal fasting to occur, or is the objective of fasting 6 days of Shawwal, like 10th of Muharram, the objective is to fast the 10th of Muharram, not to have a day filled with fasting like a Monday and a Thursday. That's not specific. That is just to have the day filled with fasting. So it's called the nafl al-mutlaq. Nafl al-muqayyad is a specific time of fast. It can only happen at this time, 10th of Muharram, 9th of Dhul Hijjah. These are specific fasts, the 6 fasts of Shawwal. So they are specific fasts. So when we speak on nafl fasts, the general nafl fasts, the fuqaha say, you do not need to have intention at night. So this is one of the differences with the fard or the wajib. You do not need to have intention at night. So when can you have the intention? We'll touch on it just now. Number 2, they say you do not need to specify what you fast. You do not need to specify. You just need to eventually at some point in the day, at night, better, or during the day, I'm fasting. And it's a nafl fast, it counts. Now the reward would be more the longer you fast. That's number 1. Number 2, the hanbali fuqaha say whether you make the intention before zawal or after zawal, it's fine. You can make the intention after zawal or before zawal, it would be fine. And the reason for that is the difference of opinion in the madhab and outside the madhab. So outside the madhab, the Shafi'i madhab says Same as the hanbali madhab for the fiqh that I've mentioned before, except that in the nafl fast, the Shafi'i madhab says that the nafl fast, the intention must be before zawal. The maliki madhab says for nafl and fard fast, it must be at night. So that means before fajr comes in. Now, the Hanafi madhab, they say that for a fast. Now, the Hanafi madhab say if the fast has a specific time, it can only happen at this time. You are allowed to make intention until zawal. So which fast has a specific time? Your Ramadan. Ramadan can only happen in Ramadan. Your vow, when you vowed, not a general vow, but a vow to fast on a specific day. So you said you're going to fast on the 10th of March. It can only happen on the 10th of March. If it happens on the 11th, you have to give your kaffarah. So it's a specific time. So the niyyah can be made until zawal. And lastly, they are now allowed for nafl fasts. You can make the intention until zawal. And then the fasts that do not have a specific time, then here it has to be before fajr comes in. You have to have the intention already. So that means qadha of Ramadan. Qadha of Ramadan, you can do it at any day of the year. So you have to have intention. It's not specified to a specific time. Then this fast intention must be by fajr coming in, the intention must be there. And they say number 2, the qadha and nafl fast. Because in the Hanafi madhab, if you break a nafl action, in most cases you have to do qadha of it. And it's a mas'ala actually they touch on in the chapter of fasting, so we will touch on it in the hanbali madhab later on. So if you break a nafl fast, you have to do qadha of that fast. So that fast, the intention has to be done by the time fajr comes in. Number 3, if you intend a general vow, oh Allah, if you cure me, I'm going to fast for you 3 days. But then you decide tomorrow you're going to fast. Intention must be by fajr. And the last one is a kaffarah. A kaffarah, a person must have intention. A person must have intention by fajr. The second last thing is the nafl al-muqayyad, a specific nafl fast that you're going to fast the 6th of Shawwal. Here, the fuqaha, the contemporary fuqaha actually of the hanbali madhab, they differ whether it takes the ruling of a fard fast or a general nafl fast. And the fuqaha of the madhab, they say that they do not make a difference between a general nafl and a specific nafl. Which means if a person were to intend during the day of Ashura or the day of Arafah or one of 6 days of Shawwal, during the day he were to intend that it's going to be his fast of Ashura, no, he doesn't have to specify intention either. He can have it through the day and also doesn't have to specify it. So he just intends it's the 10th of Ashura, it's the day of Ashura, he intends at 12 p.m. that he's going to fast, he can just fast. And it will count as the day of Ashura. Of course, the reward will be less, and of course, nothing that breaks the fast must have happened before the intention. That's the important thing. And some of the fuqaha, contemporary fuqaha, hanbali fuqaha, say that this takes the ruling of a fard fast. So intention must be before fajr comes in. You have to have the intention at night and specify that it's going to be a fast of Ashura, something like that. Okay, the last thing, the second opinion with regards to an intention in the hanbali madhab is one intention counts for the whole month. So this can be easier for a person who might struggle with intention. So he knows, here comes the night when they've sighted the moon, he intends I'm going to fast the whole month. So this person, his fast will count the whole month of Ramadan. He doesn't need to intend every night. Or he can miss suhoor, he can miss completely, and nothing came in his mind, nothing specific came in his mind of fasting tomorrow. He just went to take a nap after Maghrib, after he ate, and he woke up the next morning at Fajr. So nothing came in his mind the whole night. Would this guy's fast count the next day? It would, based on this opinion. This will also apply to, we spoke about a person who faints or is unconscious. A person who faints or is unconscious, this person here, his intention would already have been done days ago. So if he then just caught a portion of the day, as we said last time, then his fast would count. This is what the exception, as long as nothing has occurred that breaks the intention. So if it's a lady, no haidh has come because she's fasting, then does not fast for a few days, then she cannot continue fasting with that first intention. She has to renew it at night before the next fast. Or a person has made the intention, fast, then he travels. He cannot then, when he comes back home, fast the next day with that first intention. And so that covers those masaa'il there. So then the hanbali fuqaha say, because when it comes to intention, they are very specific to intention. So they say the intention must be a firm intention. It must be a firm intention. It must not be an if or intention. It must not be an end where if tomorrow is Ramadan, I will fast. No, it must be a firm intention. If Ramadan is tomorrow, he does this on the 30th or 29th of Sha'ban, it won't count. They make an exception to the 30th of the Ramadan, where the person at night decides that if it's Ramadan tomorrow, the 30th of Ramadan, I'm going to fast. And if it's not, if it's the 1st of Shawwal, I will not fast. Then in this case, they say it's allowed for him to fast. The reason for that is because they say the starting point is he is in Ramadan, so it should be, you would count that he's one of the days, 29 or 30 days are an Islamic month. So they would count that. That's an exception. But for a person to intend, tomorrow I'm going to fast a qadha of Ramadan and a kaffarah, neither will count. It has to be specific. You have to have, I'm doing kaffarah tomorrow or Ramadan, fast tomorrow. Done. They also say you cannot have an intention of I'm fasting a qadha of Ramadan and a nafl fast in the hanbali method. So what would happen here? The qadha fast would cancel, and the nafl fast, the nafl does not need a specific intention, so that it can be valid. But they say you're not allowed. There's two opinions. We're going to touch on it later, but just to touch on it now, just to make an ishara, they say the nafl fast cannot happen before the fard. Therefore, if a person didn't have a firm intention of his qadha, I'll fast tomorrow for due intention, fard and nafl, the fard won't count because it has to be firm, one intention, and the nafl would not count because maybe in the case when he has qadha of Ramadan. If he does not have qadha of Ramadan, his nafl will count. But we point out the second opinion in the madhab later on, inshallah. So they say it must be a specific intention that must be there. The moment a person doubts in his intention, then his fast would not count. The moment he says, if I find food, I'll eat, I'm going to open my fridge. If I get something that I crave, I'm going to break my fast. His fast breaks at that moment. His fast breaks at that moment. So it has to be a firm fast and no intention to break his fast. No intention to break his fast. And then they say these masaa'il of intention, they do not apply. These masaa'il, technical masaa'il, difficult masaa'il of intention, they apply to يسوي. They say for a person who does not have issues in his intention. Usually it's a person with waswasah. A person with waswasah, this person will have doubts. Oh man, maybe I made the intention to break my fast. Maybe I did not make my intention. None of these things apply to the person who suffers with his intention. It applies to a normal person. He's the one who must have a firm intention for the month of Ramadan. Then on the same note, they say, based on what we said on a nafl fast, a nafl fast, that means a lady in haidh or a kafir who became Muslim or a traveler who is now a resident. The moment those excuses go, they are now Muslim or they're now clean or they're now a resident, they can intend a nafl fast from that moment. They're allowed to then fast and nafl fast from that moment, provided before the intention is, we said, they've done nothing to oppose to break the fast. Then they're allowed to fast from here. As long as it's not in Ramadan, because they say the qaida المشغول لا يشغل. The person who's busy with something, he cannot be busy with something else. If a lady is she is married to somebody, they will count her as busy. She cannot marry somebody else while married to that person. If a person, his lineage is to that man, his lineage is to that man, his nasab is busy with that man, so he cannot be busy with someone else. He cannot then decide, no, I'm rejecting that father, I'm going to somebody else. He cannot. And this could be, an example would be, the fuqaha would mention like what? Like if a person is in salah and he sneezes, can he say alhamdulillah? Because he's mashghul, he's busy with salah. So can he then be busy with the ibadah outside of salah, of the yarhamukallah, or if I was saying alhamdulillah rather? This is an example of the mas'ala. Okay. So the fuqaha say, وَمَنْ قَالَ أَنَا صَائِمْ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مُتَعَدِّدْ فَسَدَتْ نِيَّتُهُ لَا مُتَبَرِّكٍ. So if a person makes the intention thinking or saying, I am fasting tomorrow, inshallah means if, let's translate it like this, if Allah wills, with the intention that maybe not, if Allah wills, then in this case the intention will not count. But if he says inshallah, seeking the barakah of the word inshallah, like we all do that, I'll see you tomorrow inshallah, and we just mean the barakah of the word inshallah. وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Allah says, do not say that you will do something without saying inshallah. Okay? So if you just intend the blessing of the word inshallah, then this does not affect your intention. So they also mention the mas'ala that's famous in Aqidah, but not to go into Aqidah. They say if a person says, I'm a mu'min, inshallah, it's okay. If he says, I'm a mu'min, inshallah, it's okay. I'm a believer, inshallah. But Ibn Hamdan from the Hanabila, he says, if you say, I'm a Muslim, inshallah, then this does not use haram. You're not allowed to say, I am a Muslim, inshallah. The last mas'ala they mention is in the hanbali madhab, you break your fast. Your fast can break. You can break your fast just by mere intention. Your intention can come while you're fasting. I break my fast. As we said just now, if I find food in the fridge, I break my fast. It breaks in the moment. Here, what do? You can make the intention to break your fast and it breaks. You can make the intention and it breaks. Okay, so two things to this. Number one, we'll connect it when we speak later on the iftar. What the fuqaha speak on this, making intention to break the fast. We'll touch on it then, a mas'ala connected to it. But secondly, they say the difference between this and eating is a person outside of Ramadan, because we said المشغول لا يشغل. So in Ramadan, you're busy with fasting the day of Ramadan. You cannot do qadha in the day of Ramadan. You cannot do nafl in the day of Ramadan. If you are a traveler or sick, you have a valid reason not to fast, you cannot fast with another fast other than Ramadan. So outside of Ramadan, if a person is fasting, let's say a nafl fast, or he's fasting kaffarah or qadha, and he breaks that fast through intention, he's allowed to then, just after that or any time after that, as long as he hasn't done anything to break the fast, he can just intend to fast a nafl fast, because we said nafl any time during the day, it will count. So if a person is fasting kaffarah in 10 a.m., he decides to break him a fast. His fast is broken. We said this is not a person who has if problems with waswasah. He continues his fast. A normal conscious person who's in control of his actions, is not affected by waswasah. This person says, I break my fast. Then at 11 a.m. he decides, well, let me just fast anyway. Let's say I'm out, I'm not going to eat until after Isha anyway. Let me just get the reward of fasting. Here he can do it. He can make the intentional nafl fast and it would count. Okay, let's just touch on another couple of masaa'il, because we're going to start the very important chapter but of those things that break the fast. So another mas'ala, he spoke about a person. Let's go through it quickly. A person who is a prisoner or he's underground, meaning he cannot get access to the exact times of Ramadan, time-wise, or fasting or dates. But let's focus on dates here. He cannot get the dates of fasting, so he doesn't know when it's Ramadan. What does this person do? This person, he tries and makes an assumption when is Ramadan. So he tries through his own manner, probably been 3 months since Eid, and now he's in prison today. So he thinks maybe it's been 3 months since Eid. He assumes plus minus 2.5, 3 months. So he'd assume the days go by. The moment he assumes it's Ramadan, he can fast. And then his fast will count. Whether they happen before or after Ramadan, it will be valid. It would be valid. Unless after, or not, as long as he doesn't find out that any of his fasts occurred, number one, before Ramadan, or on a day he's not allowed to fast. A day a person is not allowed to fast, I'm going to touch on it later, but example would be the day of Eid, or the 3 days of Hajj after Eid. It's called Ayyam al-Tashriq. If your fast fell on that day, his fast would not count. So if he happened to find out afterwards that actually I fasted before Ramadan, it would not count. Or he finds out I fasted on the day of Eid, either Eid or Ramadan or the other Eid, or the day of Tashriq, he has to do qadha of that day. Now they mention a mas'ala of a person, the example they give is a person who fasts Shawwal for three years. He assumes when is Ramadan, but he happens to fast Shawwal, the next year Shawwal, the next year Shawwal. And in this case, and then he found out eventually that it was actually Shawwal. Then in this case, this person, what do we say to his fast? We said just now, so we'd say to him that he has to do qadha of 3 months. He has to do qadha of 3 months. Why? Because the first Ramadan that he fasted, Ramadan, it was actually not Shawwal. He fasted 3 months of Sha'ban, not Shawwal. So we'd say to him, he has to do qadha of 3 months. Why? Because the first one was before Ramadan. So obviously it does not count. And the second one happened, he made the intention of the second Ramadan, it happened to be in Shawwal. And he can't fast the second Ramadan because the first one was invalid, right? We said just now, he does not have to intend whether it's fard, a fard happening at the moment, ada, or if it's qadha. So therefore, it would mean his second Sha'ban that he's fasting would actually be qadha of the first Ramadan. And he does not need to specify his intention, is it qadha or not qadha. So that would mean that he should actually, that second Sha'ban would count as qadha of the first Ramadan he missed. And the second Sha'ban would count as qadha of the second Ramadan he missed. Because he fasted in Sha'ban. That Sha'ban was for the previous year. Which means he has to do qadha of 1 month. And this would apply according to the fuqaha. Okay, we'll touch on that. So that's the ada in qadha. So our fuqaha say this would not count this would not count. Why? Because we say you have to specify your fast. You have to have a specific fast in mind. You have to have, it's Ramadan, but you have to know it's Ramadan. So in his head, he was thinking Ramadan, second Ramadan. And in his head, he was thinking third Ramadan. In the third Sha'ban, it was third Ramadan. He did not specify, so the specification of the Ramadan was not there. The specification was not there. So therefore, he'd have to do qadha of all three. Inshallah, the mas'ala is clear. And on the second opinion, the hanbali madhab say you do not need to specify the type of fast. As long as it's either you intend nafl or you just intend a general fast in Ramadan. Why in Ramadan? Why do they allow a general nafl? Because you're not allowed to fast anything other than the fard of Ramadan. So if you do qadha, it doesn't count, as we said. But a nafl fast, they say the fact that it's nafl is not too strong, but it's not specific like a kaffarah, qadha is specific. So it's not too strong to block out the Ramadan fast, but it's also not too weak to cancel all forms of fasting. So and that's on the second opinion. But the madhab says none of the 3 months would count. So how does a person then do qadha? He does qadha of 3 months. How? Either consecutively, either 90 days, or 30, or broken. How does he specify his intention? His intention will be a qadha of, let's say, a day in the first Ramadan, or the third day in the first Ramadan. Then the next year, it would be intention second Ramadan. Like a person who missed the Rami, or he just intended he's going to delay Rami in Hajj of 3 days, he'd come on the last day. When he has to tell 21 times, how would he put them in an order? Just through intention. Okay, this is for the first pelting, the second on the first day, this is for the first day, this is for the first day, and he'd come the second day. That's how it works. Through intention the days. Whether he fasts 30 days or how does that, we'll touch on it when we come to the mas'ala of qadha, because the hanbali madhab have two opinions here actually, interestingly, on how to do qadha. Now, the next chapter, باب ما يفسد الصوم ويوجب الكفارة وما يتعلق بذلك. Now we come to the chapter of things that break the fast and things connected to kaffarah. So kaffarah, now we said, we gave the opinions of one is a shaa, and we say it's half shaa. In hanbali madhab for all the kaffarah, zakatul fitr you give 1 shaa. So those amounts we gave last time, we apply it as is. So half a shaa, that is for everything you give, except they say bur. The bur in hanbali madhab, you give half a shaa. But now let's just simplify the masaa'il of kaffarah. So let's say there's 4 types, there's 4 situations of qadha and kaffarah. So this is a summary of a lot of masaa'il. If we get the summary right, it will cover a lot of things. So they say sometimes a person has to do qadha only. Sometimes he has to do kaffarah only. Sometimes he has to do qadha and kaffarah. Sometimes he has to do nothing. So let's start with the first one. A person who has to do qadha only is a person who missed a day in Ramadan through an excuse, valid excuse, or an invalid excuse. A person who missed fast in Ramadan for no reason, he has to do qadha. But is there any kaffarah? There's no kaffarah. There's no kaffarah for this person, right? A valid excuse, or he just missed it for no reason. And the second person is a person who does qadha and kaffarah. And here there's 2 types. There's a severe kaffarah of fasting 2 months, or there's a minor kaffarah. And that is what we spoke of last time. The kaffarah that you give half a shaa. You're feeding a person for every day, right? So and the major kaffarah is a person who did not fast, or a person who broke his fast during Ramadan intentionally through intercourse. That is, the person has to give a major, only person to give a major kaffarah, right? It's a chapter they must specify but themselves in the fiqh. And a person has to give a minor kaffarah is a person who had 2 types of people. A person who had qadha from the previous Ramadan, and the next Ramadan, and this person without valid had not done his qadha. So Ramadan came, he had done his qadha for no reason. Then after Ramadan, when he fasted, eventually his qadha is given back. Same aunt as usual. The lady was either she's pregnant, or breastfeeding, and she fears on the child. Not herself. Then we said last time, the person who's responsible financially for the child, this person would give it a kaffarah. The other one mentioned is somebody who broke his fast because of needing to say somebody else. That's the second type. The third type is a person who has to give kaffarah. We said kaffarah and qadha. Then kaffarah alone is a person a person who is too old or too sick to fast. This person is too old or too sick to fast. If this person only gives kaffarah, or does not need to fast, he does not need to fast. The last they say is a person who does not need to give kaffarah, nor does he need to fast. And that is the hanbali method specific this case, and that is a person who is too old to fast or too sick to fast, and then he does something that's a valid excuse not to fast. So he travels, he indicates. Or if it's a lady, she's in haidh. In this case, for those amount of days that she needs to do qadha, or in her case, kaffarah, no kaffarah. And the other person is a person who, this is a very important mas'ala, because it's going to come later, so it's a person who, he was sick, right, or traveling. He was sick or traveling. Let's say he had a bad excuse. And in the example, we mentioned sickness. It applies to all bad excuses. So he was sick in Ramadan. And after Ramadan, he did not get chance to do qadha, and then he passed away. So what does that mean? That means the person was sick for 7 days. He was sick for 7 days. And after the recovery, he did not fast for the day. He did not live for 7 days. He left home. He passed away on the day. This person, no qadha, no kaffarah. He did not even pay kaffarah from his death. He's well, and he's left behind when he passed away. You do not have to give any kaffarah from him. If he was alive for 2 days, and he was sick for traveling for 7 days, 2 days, and he did not fast when he was able of those 2 days, in that case, you're going to give kaffarah from his wealth for 2 days only, not the full 7 days. But if he lived a week or 8 days and he did not fast when he was able, and then he passed away, then here you'd have to do qadha, but now he passed away, so kaffarah will be given from his wealth. Okay, so those are the four types of kaffarah. Allah, kaffarah, they say feeding is feeding in the hanbali method. Kaffarah, usually sometimes kaffarah is either you want thing or you do 3 things. Either as a choice, like a person makes his hope, then either he feeds or he fasts or he gives clothing to somebody. This is by choice, whatever he wishes. Or he feeds slave by choice. Other times you have to do, even in hajj or bidya, you can either slaughter a sheep or feed people or fast. It's by choice, whatever you wish. And other times you have to do according to sequence. Either you have to free a slave, no slave, you have to fast. If you can't fast also on 2 days, you have to feed. So how, when you cannot do that, usually the last one is 16. So if you're not able to feed some people, because let's say you're not afford it. In this case, they say that kaffarah does not fall from anybody. It will always be on his life. He has to give the kaffarah whenever in his life he's able to go after his death. Except for 2 people. They say a person who had intercourse with his wife during haidh, he has to give a kaffarah only in the hanbali method. If he's too full, he can't afford them, it's not false. The second one is a person who had intercourse with his wife while fasting, or he had to fast today in Ramadan, and now he was not able, he had to feed, and he's not able, in this case it falls. In this case it falls. It's actually a second opinion in the hanbali method. It's a very interesting mas'ala about that. You see, if we discuss the chapter and towards the otherwise, this is the right back in the. So that's how you do with kaffarah. Then the things that they class, let's start it inshallah. So they say, Man akala wa shariba wa ista'ab, whoever eats, right, breaks the fast. So eating means something goes through the mouth, something goes into the mouth, down in the throat, right? So anything that goes in the mouth, whether it gives nutrition and benefit to the body or not, breaks the fast. It's called akil. It's called eating in the Arabic language. It's called eating in the Arabic language. So the moment something goes down the mouth, fast is over. So what we're going to do when we discuss this inside, we're going to reach the masaa'il according to the benefit in either position. Then we're going to mention the second opinion of Muhammad ibn Tab. Then at times you're going to mention the fatwa of some of the councils regarding contemporary masaa'il. I'm going to specify, we're going to specify them or not. So those are 3 steps you're going to go. So according to the madhab, whatever eats, anything that goes down the mouth. Then they say sharib, what drinks. So drinking in the Arabic language means any liquid that goes down the throat. What count is drinking. Whether it's something beneficial, nutritional or not, counts with drinking. And they say, ista'aba. Okay. Now ista'aba. So if you put something in your nose, so we said mouth, and then connected to mouth is a proper passage inside the body, which would lead to the stomach. They say nose. They say and like so. Anything to put in the nose. Then the next mas'ala they say, this is according to the divine. Okay, so let's mention then contemporary mas'ala, putting into the nose. But let's go through them all. So then putting something into the eye. According to the hanbali math-hab, anything that goes into the eye would break the fast as long as on the eye and the nose covers, tastes it in his throat. If he finds it in his throat, fast is broken. Fast is broken. This specifically from the eye. For the nose, they say it will break fast because it either goes into the brain. When it goes into the brain, it develops a jawf. So it will break the fast. What is a jawf? We'll discuss it just now because there's a lot of discussion on what is a jawf and these things. So we touch on it to understand this masaa'il better because there are good few details inshallah shafi will become clear out. So we send it into the eye and then a person can taste it. This will break the fast according to the enlightened opposition. Then they say, or if somebody puts something behind their backside. Do that, and it goes inside from the back to break the fast. Then they say, or if something is entered, or if the person enters something into a jawf in his body to break the fast. So a jawf in the body, they see jawf and mujawwaf. So these are two things. So basically the fuqaha they are saying food and drink breaks the fast. But they are saying, the fuqaha look at it like this. Ibn Rushd mentioned this in Bidayat al-Mujtahid. He says the fuqaha differ on the objective, the maqsid of fasting. Is the objective understandable? Or is it just from an ibadah? In ibadah, like why do you need salah? Why do you need salah? It's not understandable. It's Allah knows why. But is it understandable or is it one that we cannot comprehend? So those fuqaha are saying something that you cannot comprehend. They have many things that will break the fast. And they have raw technical instructions. And those fuqaha who say it's something understandable, they have limited those things that break the fast. And in fact, those fuqaha, many of all fatwa, they are different in their opinion. For the people and the youth that are a fasting person today. So those who say it's an understandable reason to fast is to prevent one from eating and drinking intercourse, like the hadith says, يَدَعْ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ وَشَهْوَتَهُ He avoids eating, drinking, and opening his have pleasure in his carnal pleasures for my sake. And they say very much simpler descriptions. So a jawf, according to the right now, there's lots of details according to the guy. What is a jawf? They definitely decide that. So the hanbali math-hab resembles the shafi math-hab on the jawf. It resembles the shafi math-hab on the jawf. So the hanbali math-hab would basically say anything that reaches the following 6 after the body would break fast. Number 1, it reaches the brain. Number 2, the throat. Number 3, the stomach. Number 4, the intestines. Number 5, it reaches inside the private part. And number 6, it goes inside the backside. Inside your penis. That's the 6. And we also include if something goes inside your body into a place that can suck in the nutrients, the nutrients, or suck in what has been put inside the body, it will break the fast. So like something is put into the bloodstream, they'll break the fast. It's important to know this. Mentioned like why a person has a wound on his hand, it's a cut. Or wound on his body and there's a cut, and he puts it on it to break the fast. Okay? So we'll touch on it just now. It's called the dawajat and those things that they mentioned like that. So basically, we said if something goes into one of these 6 body parts or something sucks in, like the bloodstream, and it breaks fast. If the person puts in all he's put in. Except the written exception for what? Through the private part, through the male private penis, it's gone through there, it won't, it was there inside. It will not get sucked in, it will rather be taken out. Then they have another in the entire Western, which most of the later comments in public process that is inside the wall of a body, with the child comes out on that side, and something's put inside. For example, and a lady is doing her Pepsi or something like that, and something is put inside. That break the fast or not, because it goes into the inside of the body, and that's where the inside we set it well. It's called the jawf or mujawwaf inside the body. But most of the latest scholars say this, the Hanbali scholars say it will not break the fast. It will not break the fast. Okay, and so therefore, right, the 2 opinions in the Hanbali. is that we mention these things is then people vomiting and things coming out of your body, like many will explain all that inshallah in the next class. But let's just explain the second opinion, the hanbali method. So that second opinion is opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He says that the main body parts. But before we mention that, we mentioned those 6 or 7 things that I mentioned. Those 6 body parts, they say to break the fast because it leads to the stomach. There's a passageway to the stomach, so it really is putting in to go to the stomach eventually. So sometimes you see obviously but the hadith mentions something, they do not point out something really usually the throat, it must go into the body. So they say it's in bab and it's because most likely something which is close to reach the belly, to reach the stomach. That's why they mention halq. Okay. The second opinion in the hanbali madhab is that there's 2 natural body parts that lead to the stomach, right? And that is the nose and the mouth. The nose and the mouth. And then every other body part, except for we said the private part of a man, there's no difference between any of the method that it does not break the fast. And we saw also inside the female, with the passage of the child, the womb, does not break the fast. Now, everything else, every other thing else that goes into the body, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah says these are unnatural. These are unnatural parts that lead inside the body. So therefore, anything that goes through the 2 natural body parts, the mouth and the nose, they'll break the fast, whether they're nutritional or not. And anything else that enters through any other body part goes into the body, does not break the fast unless it's nutritional. Unless it's nutritional to benefit the body, it can be in place of food and drink and what get nourished from it. So that's a very important thing that we're going to end on. Why? Because a number of contemporary masaa'il, we discuss, let's say, injection, things like that. You might once this injection goes into the bloodstream, we spoke on bloodstream. So then the answer will be, it's according to the math-hab, going into the inside, going to the bloodstream, fast to be broken. According to the second opinion, it's going in from not the nose or the mouth. It's not going from the nose or the mouth. So that means if any other part of the body, it has to be nutritional. And then we'll go on to the fatwa, inshallah, that the fiqh commentaries and majamir that he has mentioned. But to know those 2 opinions, number 1 of the hanbali madhab, and the second opinion of the hanbali madhab, because the second opinion of the hanbali madhab, that is a general principle throughout that is applied to contemporary masaa'il. If it goes through mouth and nose, it will break whatever it may be. And other than mouth and nose, it must be nutritional. So that's a principle that is almost all the time applied. So when we discuss masaa'il, we're going to discuss, we discuss like drawing blood or dialysis, speak on we spoke on a nose job, so we speak on the endoscopy and things like that. Going through into the mouth and things like that, it's going to all come into these 2 opinions are really easy. Masaa'il we don't touch on, somebody off the bat who knows the hanbali madhab will be able to give a conclusion on the madhab or a very simple mas'ala of the second opinion. You just ask, it's not through mouth and nose, is it nutritional? If it's nutritional, will it into the body from it to break the fast? If it was not, it would not break the fast. So that's very important mas'ala connected to that. Inshallah, in the next class, we'll try and finish the things that break the fast, if other masaa'il perfectly do it, not contemporary things that break the fast. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. نسأل الله أن المولى العظيم أن ينفعنا بما علمنا وأن يعلمنا ما ينفعنا. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to benefit us, that which we learn, to teach us that which benefits us. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Any questions?
I have a lot of questions. Let me start off with the intention one. Like for example, I have a qadha from Ramadan, one fast, and in any random day I intended to fast, not the qadha one, just the random fast, and I completed my fast, and then later on I realized that I have left one qadha. Can I relate that to that one? Yeah, I didn't have the intention while fasting.
And you what? You still this, but you asked You cannot afterwards intend, oh no, I forgot qadha. That fast that I did yesterday is qadha, not purpose, because you have to meditate in my mind. Yeah. And what that yesterday fast count or not, we said, we touched on it late in details, but as a summary, is still in it, the madhab is that you are not allowed to fast any nafl before the qadha. So in that case, not kaffarah and then but qadha ramadhaan. So if you had that left, yesterday asked for one count. And on the second opinion, it would count and just set a qadha, but you cannot make the intention yet. You cannot perform 2 rak'ah, or let's say you read 4 rak'ah before the sunnah, then after you realize, oh no, I forgot yesterday's qadha. So then you say, I'm going to make that yesterday's law, and I must know. You have to have intention from the start, and who knows best.
Second question on salah. You mentioned that it's really fasting. It's fasting. No. Admittedly, they just gave the example like, I have a qadha, for example, of asr, in which we do not do the qira'ah. And I'm reading that qadha of asr after maghrib. So I'm allowed to read it loudly, yes?
Are you allowed to read it loudly? The answer being the hanbali madhab, most of them in the except shafi, is that it's only sunnah to read silent salahs, silently and loud salahs and loudly. Which means your person before maghrib salah, right? Before maghrib salah, but you read silent. Read count, yes. Will you follow the sunnah? No. Sunnah is to make it loud. Okay. So therefore, if you were to read asr qadha after maghrib, and you read it, if you read it loudly, it would count, no problem. But the sunnah is to do it softly, because qadha is done the way it is done when it's time. So when it's on its time, it's done silently. So after maghrib, it's done silently. Can you do it loud? You can, but the reward will be less.
And it's like you mentioned, anything that goes into your mouth or from your nose, that breaks the fast. But in my locals, I have heard that if accidentally if you eat something while fasting in forgetfulness, then the fast does not break. Out of forgetfulness, if you eat something.
That's correct. Inshallah, on the later side, we're going to speak about when things that go inside the mouth, or and speak on forgetfulness and how that affects the fast. And that we will conclude. Then if someone ate something or drank something forgetfully, but forgetful what? Forgetful that he's fasting, not forgetting the rule, not forgetting the rule, but forgetting his fasting. That's his fast will continue. But if you forget the rule, but he knows he's fasting, right? His fast will broke.
Yes.
Concerning about the niyyah, sometimes some people intend to fast, but for the first day, but I don't know whether for the first day they have taken the niyyah for the first time, but for the other days they couldn't able to take the niyyah. They said because they have already taken the niyyah for the Ramadan. So what will you say about this one? So for the first time, niyyah can cover the whole month of the Ramadan, or every day you have to be taking and you have to be intending. That's my question.
Look, naturally, the person after his first day, naturally he intends to fast the next day, and naturally he will have suhoor. So all of them count as fast as the year. We said it will count. In the case where they did nothing of that. Let's say they slept for 3 days and then they woke up. Can they count as fasting because he made the intention on day one? According to the madhab, no, he has to have an intention in mind. But the second opinion of the madhab is that one time intention in the beginning of will count as long as nothing broke. We spoke on it in the dust. So we can give this to people so that their fast stays intact. Otherwise, they're going to tell everyone to qadha and qadha. So to avoid that, because the fuqaha speak, iftar, giving the fatwa on the weaker opinion, not qawl and al-rujur, not qawl al-dha'if, qawl al-rujur, yiddaru for a need. When there's a need, you can give fatwa on the rujur. So in this case, if it's the rujur, then we can give fatwa on it so people do not have to do qadha. But according to the madhab itself, for theory, he has to do intention of being right. Either, as we said, the intention is just having a knowledge, just knowing your fasting is done. Just having history or time to get out for support, but also what it counts on the part. Any other question?
Oh, just to clarify once, you said in hanbali mazhab, if we intend to break fast, just the intention will break the fast, right?
Just the intention break the fast, that's right. And not in hadith, not in hadith.
Only in hanbali.
Hanbali and I think Shafi or maliki, I'm forgetting now. One of the two.
Which?
One of the two, because Hanbali says even in salah, if you intend to break the salah, it breaks. Then Shafi or maliki is with Hanbali, yeah, the other ones. I'm not, I don't want to confuse them. But one of them are with Hanbali both. Okay, صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.